New at 5, as harvest season rolls on, farmers could be seeing some lower profits per acre for their crops. Corn and soybean prices are both down this fall compared to last year. Soybeans are down about 50 cents to $1, while corn prices are the lowest they've been in nearly 3 years. Grain merchandisers say the cheaper corn is partly due to lower demand and higher production worldwide.
Mostly down in South America, the higher corn prices brought in more land into production in some of those areas that wasn't in production for corn. In the United States, we planted a lot of corn acres this year, more than we've done in the last 7-8 years.
And some farmers are considering storing their grain until harvest ends, hoping for a post-harvest bump in the prices.